Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts.
Welcome
Craig
everyone to
and
the
Jeff.
Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey. And hey, we're here for a special episode this week. We haven't had 2 episodes a week during the offseason, but hey, it's NFL draft. So I feel like it's wrong if we don't react to the first round of the draft here. So here we are. Jeff, there's a decent amount of fantasy relevant players possibly in this first round. I mean, receivers, a lot of receivers, good receivers picked. No running backs, which, I guess isn't surprising. Maybe a running back could go at the end, but none did. So I guess we'll just go through some of these players here, some of the guys that actually will make a difference and some of the interesting, picks here. I guess we'll just start off. We don't have to talk about this one much, Jeff, but Joe Burrow goes number 1, no surprise. Still probably not being drafted in any kind of redraft leagues, right? I mean, I don't see how he would be.
No, I don't believe so. I like his talent. If you're in a dynasty, he's a great pickup. I think he is the real deal. But, rookie quarterbacks have a really rough time producing fantasy numbers right away. So I won't be looking at him.
No, it's just, obviously dynasty, different story, but nothing for our purposes right now that we need to worry about. Yeah, I think he's going to be a good player, but and who knows? Maybe best case is what? Bye week fill in. That's what usually the best case scenario. Let's see what the next position player was. Tua there going to the Dolphins, which I mean, this one becomes interesting if he actually is a starter, not for him, but for the players around him. And I actually don't know if I would like some of those receivers. I like the receivers with Fitzpatrick, to be honest. I might like them more this year with Fitzpatrick than I would Tua. Just something about Fitzpatrick and fantasy numbers. The guy can throw up a bunch of points. So I don't know if Tua became the starter. I don't know if he will, but if he did, I might actually downgrade like Devontae Parker and Devontae Parker.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I like Tua. I think it was a good pick by them. I like what they did in the first round in general, right? I mean, you took Tua seems like a really great leader. He's obviously a good quarterback. You take an offensive tackle who can protect him, and then you trade down later on in the draft as well.
Yep.
And you still get a good cornerback. So I really like what they did. And once again, though, it's the quarterback situation, rookie year, very tough to take. So I won't be playing him, but in football in general, just real football, I think the Dolphins knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, I thought maybe they might go running back there with that last pick they got there, at pick 30. That would have been a nice little addition. Yeah,
I was wondering. But think about this too. I mean, they obviously get to pick in the second round right away. So
true.
They can pick any running back they want now, or they could get a wide. I mean, they really have, and I believe they have 2 second-round picks. So
they do. Yep.
They are going to really
they'll get a
stopped.
running back. They'll get a running back with one of those.
Yeah, I really like what they're doing.
Yeah, so that's good. Yeah, it just depends if he's a starter. It changes this year's value, but we'll see. The next Chargers went and got their quarterback, Justin Herbert, there. I think it's a good pick, too. You knew Tyrod Taylor isn't going to be the guy completely. And is this going to be another spot where Tyrod Taylor's the starter at the beginning and then loses it?
Yeah, I was
Oh, wow.
Saying that,
yeah,
I know. Yeah, so can we just talk about this? Because
Chiefs. Wow. Okay.
So Chiefs pick the very last pick. We were obviously starting right before this. We did not think a running back would go.
No.
And if one did go, I thought obviously it would be Swift or J.K. Dobbins or our boy from Wisconsin. But no, LSU, Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets drafted.
That is a surprise.
Yes, drafted to KC. I mean, what does that automatically do for him? Because that was one spot. If a running back went there, we thought, wow, he could really do something in fantasy. What are your thoughts on this one?
Oh, man.
Not the guy we thought, but.
No, but this was what I talked about the other day on the show, and I liked the player who would go to the Chiefs. Remember? And I thought it would be like a later, like a third round maybe, kind of a thing, end of second, third round. And it would have, and Edwards-Helaire was one of the options, I thought. It was Akers or Edwards-Helaire, one of those guys. I thought it would just be in like maybe the beginning of the third round. So surprises me. But if he gets a bulk of the work, I like it. I mean, his fantasy value is going to be pretty good. I mean, I think he's a good player. I didn't see him being better than Taylor and Swift and Dobbins, though. Man, I don't know if I'm there on that. But it's the perfect situation yet. If he's the main guy, and this puts Damian Williams more in a complimentary role now, right? Which he's probably better suited for, and he doesn't have to be the main guy. So I think fantasy-wise, I think it'll be okay. And I don't know if he'll get overhyped. I'm not sure how hyped he'll get. He'll get hyped because it's the Chiefs in the situation, but it's not the man. I'm surprised by this. This kind of throwing me off.
Yeah, I'm pretty shocked. I'll be honest. I'm right there with you. The top 3 guys in my mind were pretty clear cut. I mean, obviously they liked him enough to he fits their scheme, whatever they want to do. In your mind, right now, because we weren't expecting it, because, I mean, at least I'm trying to figure out in my head, I'm like, okay, does this fit a scheme? Does this do this? Is this going to be more of a committee backfield because they didn't take one of the other guys? I mean, you figure like they would have. But, I mean, does this hurt your opinion of this round? Like, I know you said whoever goes to KC, you would be really high
I'm still high on them. I'm going to be, and I think they're going to be really valuable. I think I'm more just surprised that this is the pick they made. No, I mean, not that anything wrong with Edwards-Helaire. He's a good player, but I didn't see him as the top running back in the draft. But I think it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be sort of a committee, I believe. Damian Williams isn't gonna go away, right? He's gonna get to play, and he'll be there. And man, this is I really thought this might happen, but in the 3rd round, that's why it's just surprising.
Yeah, and I know he can catch the ball as well, right? He did have 55 receptions. I mean, he can kind of do it all. And that's why I was like, okay, if they don't take Taylor, I understand, right? If he's not the first running back off the board, but the other 2 have proven that they can catch the ball with ease, right? J.K. Dobbins, and so I'm blown away by this. This is probably because I really thought going into the first round we were going to see. And we did see a few that were kind of shifted around, but nothing that really, really surprised me, right? This is the first pick that I'm just completely taken aback by.
I mean, he's going to fit this offense, though, I think. It's going to be, it's going to be a fun offense. He's going to be valuable. He's going to have some really fun times watching him play. So I think it's going to be good. It's going to be a good fit. Does he now... Man, does he become that? It's all going to depend on where Taylor goes, where Swift goes, where Dobbins goes, if their situations are good enough. Because this is the best situation for a rookie running back. I believe it is. Unless, Tampa might be.
I was going to say Tampa could be a big one. There's a few other places, but he'd be the front runner, right? And it will throw a wrench in not only redraft leagues, but even dynasty leagues. I mean, you're going to be looking at this guy, and you have 3 other guys that you thought would be ahead of him, and now you're like, all right, well, he's right up there with my number 1 running back. I mean, if one of those 3 guys do not go to Tampa Bay, it changes the whole complexion of it.
Man, and that's like my situation having the first pick in a dynasty draft.
Yeah, now you have to really kind of figure out what you want to do with it.
And I thought I just didn't see that one coming. It's a very interesting pick. I'm not saying it's a bad pick. It feels like a reach, but who knows? This was an odd draft process this year, right? So who knows? All right, well, I guess that one threw us off there. Who were we talking about? Justin Herbert, Chargers?
Yeah. A guy that will not be fantasy relevant.
Yeah, I think he could probably take over the job. Let's talk about that. So I think he could probably take over the job from Tyrod. That's probably what's going to happen, right? Tyrod Taylor starts the season as the starter like he did with Cleveland, and then he'll lose the job at some point.
I mean, yeah, this guy cannot catch a break. I mean, he really can't. I don't think he loses the job until they're out of the playoffs, and then, if they are out of the playoffs, then Herbert would start the last few games or whatever. I don't see Justin Herbert being at the place where he can actually take it from Tyrod Taylor. But either way, that pick doesn't help me in any way for how I talked about Keenan Allen or Eckler or anything like that.
I don't feel better. I don't feel worse. I don't know the situation's great for those guys yet. It's just, I think your choice of Keenan Allen maybe falling off a little bit. It's probably, decently accurate. I'm not sure it's not going to be there with Herbert this year unless he's a lot, most quarterbacks aren't amazing year one anyway. It just doesn't happen. So,
right. Well, how do you view Justin Herbert as far as a dynasty prospect then?
I see, there's always these quarterbacks like this. There's always one or two of them that just don't pan out, right? And I like him. I'm not in love with the player, I guess, you know what I mean? I think he's good. He never really, just impressed me that much where I'm like, okay, this guy's, a big time NFL quarterback necessarily. I mean, he can throw the ball. Obviously, the guy has great arm strength and stuff, but he hasn't been as good the last, 2 seasons. It wasn't like he was that, impressive to me, honestly. Or he was good, but his numbers weren't something that you just like, oh man, this guy's really, really good. So I don't know. It's one of those where it's, is he that great? I mean, we had Josh Rosen get picked in the top 10 2 years ago, and where's he?
Well,
it happens.
He's going to be on the same team as Tua, so
yeah, exactly. I mean, Herbert's numbers were good, but they're not. I don't know. He's fine. He's fine.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he looked the part more than.
It's one of those.
He's got to earn it now, and that's the thing. I do think that he has talent, but I don't think that. I think sitting for a year or two would be really good for him.
I mean, I've seen too many quarterbacks drafted early that it's more because they look like an NFL quarterback and they have the arm strength that just doesn't quite work all the time. So, I mean, okay, look at so this one, it worked out a different way. Like Josh Allen, he got picked because of his arm strength, but no one talked about his ability to run, and that's the only thing that's kept him fantasy relevant. I don't think Herbert will do that for you. So.
Yeah, we'll see. He did run quite a bit at the end of the year.
I just don't know. I don't know. Josh Allen was something different.
I mean, that's very true.
But we didn't think that at this point either.
No, I thought I was not a fan of Josh Allen. So.
Yeah. But anyway, fantasy year one, not going to make a difference. So,
right.
All right. How about we go to let's see. Well, I guess we go to the 12th pick here.
Can we go to the most Raiders type pick?
Oh man, I think Al Davis came back from the dead and made this pick.
Yeah,
this is his player.
I don't have anything against Ruggs really.
No, but it's just.
But he's the first wide receiver off the board. Are you kidding me? He wasn't even the best wide receiver on his team. This is the thing that bugs me.
Speed,
I know he ran
speed.
You run the 40 and you will shoot up draft boards. I mean, when has this really paid off?
I mean, what comes to mind? John Ross?
John Ross would be a big one.
Shoot, you can go back there's people, you can go back through the first round of NFL receivers that just, they, speed and this kind of stuff took over and they really didn't have the production and people just, Cordell Patterson, he was a first round pick, one of those type. I remember Troy Williamson back in the mid 2000s to the Vikings. Remember that guy? Yeah. He was, fast as could be and he didn't do anything, right? So it happens. I'm not saying that's Ruggs. It gets that John Ross vibe.
Yes, I think he's more John Ross than he is Tyreek Hill, right?
And that's kind of what people say. Is this Tyreek Hill? But he's in between. I mean, John Ross injuries have stopped John Ross. Maybe we won't ever know what John Ross was. Or could have been.
True, and he was on a bad team, but.
Yep. This is a very Raiders thing.
Yes, I was going to say it's a very Raiders thing when you could have almost a guaranteed sure thing with Judy or Lamb but you're like, we'll roll the dice even though we're a bad team and we're going to, try to get that really, really fast guy.
Yep. And I don't think he's going to have big fantasy numbers this year. I'm not expecting that. He's going to probably have some big plays. He'll probably show some promise, but have a breakout fantasy season, I'm not seeing that. I don't see that coming right now. Yeah.
No, I do not either. Not by a long shot, actually.
No, but just not what I see. All right. Next up was pick 15, and it was Jerry Jeudy.
It was the better Alabama wide receiver, right? And he goes to a place where I really love this. I
like the pick for Jeudy. I like the pick for Denver. I'm almost more interested than what it means for Jerry Jeudy is what does this mean for Cortland Sutton? Do you still like him ranked as high as he's been getting ranked in these preseason rankings? Does he still stay there top 15 with another guy that could take away some catches from him?
Yeah, without a doubt. I actually think this helps him out. I think you lose Emmanuel Sanders, right? I mean, he was injured anyway, and you're going to have a young quarterback. The last thing you need is no one on the other side of you so people can double you, because they already know that he's the real deal, right? He can really play ball, and it's just going to be a matter of what kind of coverage he gets and whether or not, Locke can actually get him the ball.
Can Locke play? That's pretty much he showed some promise.
And if he can, I think Jared Judy and Sutton they can be both big contributors.
Yeah. This is Drew Lock has a pretty good opportunity here with his receiving core, I think. He has Noah Fant too to throw the ball to. So.
And then you have a good running back.
Backfield you just got Melvin Gordon. Yeah.
Melvin Gordon and Lindsey. There's no reason why you shouldn't be successful. I know it's only your second year, but you've had a year to kind of get it under your belt. I think you should have at least decent year with the kind of weapons they gave you. I actually like this for Sutton more than I like it for Judy. But if Jared Judy is really all he's cracked up to be, and I believe he's very good. I don't know if he's the type of talent that can transcend first year and with a very young quarterback. But this is one that I'm going to be watching heavily and to see how this goes, because I think Jerry Judy could be, it's not going to be a sneaky pick by any means because it's Jerry Judy, but I do think that he is going to be relevant.
I do too. I don't think his value is going to get out of hand completely. He obviously he'll be valued. Good rookie first round receivers always are, but you can get him for a decent price in like an auction draft, I think. And I think he has some good upside to this year. I'm not saying he's going to be, not many rookie receivers can win you titles or help you. Odell Beckham was something different, right?
Him and Mike Evans. It was that draft class, really.
That same year, I still feel I love that draft class. I don't know if you know that, Jeff.
I'm aware.
But all right, next up, another receiver off the board. This was kind of a surprise to me. CeeDee Lamb goes to the Cowboys. And just recently I said don't draft Dak Prescott, but maybe I was wrong.
I was going to say, as soon as he got drafted, I was like, oh, Craig's going to eat his words.
I probably have to. If you're out there throwing the ball to Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Gallup, and you have Zeke behind you, it's a good offense. It's a good offense.
Yeah, and one of the better offensive lines, too. There's nothing that can go wrong for that guy. This is the thing that did crack me up, though, as I was watching the draft. Immediately they say, oh, man, like you have Amari Cooper on one side, you have CeeDee Lamb on the other. And my mind immediately went to, I bet Gallup is sitting over there like, what the, like, what are you talking about? He played really, really well last year. So it'll be very interesting to see where they put Lamb or how they deal with the slot or what they're going to do with that. They have a ton of talent. And besides for Zeke, and he should demand the ball, I don't see any one of these guys really being the prima donna necessarily, which will help. But if one of them gets a chip on their shoulder, that could actually be the only downfall of what this offense could be.
Michael, this wasn't a pick like they didn't believe in Michael Gallup, obviously. Guy had 66 catches for 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns in his second year. That was impressive, very impressive second year, and I feel like he wasn't talked about enough. But I think this was a situation of they didn't expect to have CeeDee Lamb on the board there. And
you stock up.
You take this kind of player.
Yeah, you go for the win now. They have a very good football team, so why not?
But again, for fantasy for this season, I don't necessarily think Lamb's gonna jump out because he has He has Gallup and Cooper to contend with, and it's just not going to be he's not going to be bombarded with targets. But he's gonna. This is more of this helps Dak Prescott fantasy situation than it helps. CeeDee Lamb he'll be fine. It's just I'm not going to be looking to get him in drafts or anything at this point.
I agree. I wouldn't either. I think, and this is completely speculation, obviously all of this is, but CeeDee Lamb in the situation that he's in, it does kind of, in my mind, it kind of rings that warning bell of like, okay, I'm not going to draft him, but halfway through the season, this guy might be someone that I kind of keep watch of. And hey, if he doesn't start right away, which he probably won't, you never know, maybe he overtakes Gallup. But we just got done talking about how Amari Cooper on your team, Craig, you talked about he was one of those guys you would stay away with, not because he's not talented, but because he's kind of hit or miss. Like he'll have one huge game in the one. So if you do have a CeeDee Lamb that turns into one of Dak Prescott's favorite targets,
Yep.
he could turn into a more consistent version of, say, Amari Cooper. And it's not out of this world. Amari Cooper actually did really well his rookie year, right? So CeeDee Lamb could turn into a sneaky pick if he turns into a consistent target for Dak. But we won't find that out for, the first 3-4 games at least.
Yep. All right, what do we got next? More receivers. We still got 3 more receivers that went in the first round. Jeez. We got Jalen Reagor to the Eagles. Not a surprise that the Eagles picked a receiver.
I was surprised that he jumped over the next
Jefferson,
3 wide receivers.
Yeah. I didn't think he would be the guy yet. Another fast guy, good player. Obviously, if you're drafting the first round, you're a good player. But fantasy for 2020. You still got Alshon. You still got Deshaun Jackson there. You got people. But he could. I mean, again, those aren't guys that if this guy is that good, he will jump them, no problem. So I'm not really that excited, I guess, at this point. I don't know. Nothing's. It's just not jumping off the screen to me. No. It's something I'm that terribly excited on.
I'll be completely honest. I don't think I know enough about Jalen Reagor. I was when they said his name, I was kind of like, what? Because I was waiting for them to say Justin Jefferson. And I was going to be like, that is my favorite pick yet tonight. I still like him. Obviously, next we'll talk about him. But like you said, Craig, he could turn into the number one immediately. Yeah. I don't think he's that type of receiver though. That's the thing that kind of bothers me. I think he's more of the slot and a good weapon for Wentz. I really don't have enough knowledge about this guy to really say he's not going to become that, but it's one I'm going to have to look more into because I was kind of this was the other one that threw me a little bit.
And so, I mean, a lot of it's going to be too, what happens? Do they keep Alshon? Do they cut Alshon? You never know with that, that if Alshon were to get cut, probably changes it quite a bit. But at this point, if he gets drafted in a redraft, it's at the end of the draft because you're taking a shot on a rookie. That's how he gets drafted for me right now. It's not because I believe in there's going to be immediate value. I just don't see that. No, just not. He'll be end of a draft. You take a flyer on a guy. That's what he is, right?
Right.
All right. Next up, though, like you said, Justin Jefferson. He goes pick number 22. One pick later, he goes to the Vikings, which I like the spot. I really do.
Behind the Eagles, which I really would have loved. I think Vikings is the next best landing spot for him. You have Thielen on the one side. He should be on the other. They don't have Diggs anymore. And Justin Jefferson, obviously, one of our lists talk about him. He was one of my favorite players. I really do think that he was a little underrated in a weird way. And I know that he played with a great quarterback, but what he was able to do, his 40 time, his combine, made it so, okay, yeah, this guy really is as athletically gifted as a lot of these other players. He does have a little more height than, say, a Jalen Reagor or a Brandon Ayuk. So I really love this pick. I think that he can make an immediate impact because we all know that people are going to be trying to double Thielen and do all that good stuff. I think Justin Jefferson can not only catch a lot of balls this year, but I think he can be a red zone impact player. So I love this pick.
Yeah, I do too. This is, I'm just trying to think of like rookie rankings right now. And for me, it's like still Judy. I mean, Judy's number one, right? For me, I like just fantasy terms. Man, Justin Jefferson's up there though.
Well, yeah, there's 3 that I think you could make a case for. But he would probably be number 2. And I think it's very close between him and Judy. I honestly almost might put Jeff, like just for this first year, I almost might want to put Justin Jefferson number 1. It doesn't necessarily mean I would rank them that way for Dynasty.
Yeah,
but I think
exactly.
It might be Justin Jefferson quickly and then Jerry Judy, but I don't know. I'll flip flop on those two.
But this is a good spot for him. He steps right into that number 2 receiver role. And they're going to pass the ball. He's going to get targets. I think it's a good spot. And I think he's going to get a good amount of volume right away. So I like the spot for him. I think this is a really good landing spot. So I would have felt good about him going to the Eagles too. Like you said, I would have been good with either one of those spots. So it worked out. Or even this next spot if he would have been the guy here.
Yep.
But so Brandon Ayuk goes to the 49ers. 49er, it's just they have basically, well, they have Kittle, obviously tight end, but other than that wide receiver, it was basically really just Deebo Samuel, right? I mean, they have other guys, but Trent Taylor, Kendrick Bourne, Travis Benjamin, I think. Jalen Hurd's still there.
We thought Pettis a year ago was going to be something, but and they had Emmanuel Sanders they signed on later in the year. But yeah, I think this one makes a lot of sense. I actually really like the pick. He would probably be my number 3 as far as who could produce right away. My only thing with him is, I think he's great, but I think there's a lot of mouths to feed in San Fran.
There's a lot of guys there that are going to get some. So I don't know if the numbers will be huge this first year. I think it's a good spot. It's a good pick for the Niners. They needed a receiver. And yeah, the guys there's a lot of them, but nobody that's that impressive. I think it's just going to be, like you said, they're going to spread this ball around, aren't they? They're going to spread it around, just like they use their running backs. They use a bunch of running backs. They're going to use a bunch of receivers. And I don't think any one player is going to be that dominant except for George Kittle.
Yeah,
maybe
Kittle.
Debo. I do like Debo.
I think
I'm a Debo fan.
I am too. Yeah. I think he will be good. I think those two you can kind of – Kittle is like take it to the bank, and then Debo will be a solid pick. Everyone else other than that, you're going to be, saying your prayers as you go into the week because you're like, is this the week they're going to blow up, or is this the week that, they decide to play with one of their other many talented guys?
Yep. All right. So what other than so got quarterback here.
I was just saying.
What should I think here? This is not okay. Not fantasy relevant for this year at all. So Packers trade up and draft Jordan Love.
Okay, this actually was the one. This was the biggest surprise of the entire first round for me. I think for everyone, I would have to assume. Do you think that Aaron Rodgers has any idea they were going to do this?
I don't think so.
A conversation. And how angry would you be if you were him? And T. Higgins is out there, and you have one of the great running backs, and they go out and they get your replacement.
So today on there was a Pat McAfee show, I think it was today. Yeah, Rodgers said, we haven't drafted a skill player in 15 years, so that'd be kind of nice. And they draft his replacement.
It was a skill player.
So he's basically Rodgers, I believe, is the same age now that Favre was when the Packers drafted Rodgers.
Well, we all saw how it did work out, but my God, was that a battle? Are they going to do the same thing, forcing Aaron Rodgers out?
Man, I don't know. But okay. We talked a lot last year how Aaron Rodgers wasn't quite Aaron Rodgers, right? He was the last 2 years. The guy, he's obviously still a great quarterback, but his numbers weren't quite the same, I guess you would say. He led them to a 13-3 record, though. But maybe they just saw something. They're like, okay, we just got to get this guy here just for 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road. Which, man, if Rodgers wants to play till he's 40, 41 like these guys have been doing these days, he can't like this.
Oh, no, I'd be very angry. And on top of that, they like you said, 13-3 record. You can finally run the ball. You finally have a defense that can hold them. You don't have to be Aaron Rodgers of old that throws for 4 touchdowns and 300 yards to win. And they go out and they do this to you. You have to just be like, we could win. We can win right now if you would just go out and get me more weapons. Because all you have right now is a run game that is, very good. But you could have added more to that. Or, besides for Devontae Adams, they have no one. Why wouldn't you go
Devin
out and
Funchess, didn't they?
Yeah, very good point. There we go. But yeah, my gosh, if I was him, I'd be pulling my hair out like, dear God, man.
Well, the funny thing is, like diminished Aaron Rodgers, who isn't quite as good, leads his team to a 13-3 record, throws for 4,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, and only 4 picks. So,
yeah, it's mind blowing.
It's just because he didn't have 40 touchdowns. That's it. But because they ran the ball more.
Yeah, they controlled the clock. They played better D. So this is, I don't know where you go from this. How many years can you possibly sit at quarterback? 2 before you're just like, we want to get him in here?
Because Rodgers sat 3.
Yeah, and he was angry about it. They had to push Favre out. So, does this start the clock? Does Aaron Rodgers have to say, how old is Aaron Rodgers, by the way?
He's 36. He turned 36 in December. So
okay, well, I guess that's not that crazy. I mean, maybe, and I highly doubt it as well, but maybe they really did have a conversation with him and say, hey, well, you're getting to that age, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, within 3 years, I guarantee I'm out. And they're like, well, we'll roll that dice. I don't know.
it's not like Jordan Love just fell to the Packers either, which, sometimes that happens if a guy they weren't expecting to be there, and that's why they picked him. They actually traded up to get him. I mean, it's just, they have to know or feel like Aaron Rodgers can't have more than 2 years, maybe max 3 years as their quarterback, right? That has to be it. I mean, that's just, you do not draft this guy in the first round unless you see your future in 3 years with a new quarterback. I just don't see how you do it. It just, they know something we don't, or they see something in Rodgers and they see something that maybe we don't see, or the other, starting to see, but they see it happening quicker. So it's still, that was the surprise to me. That was up until Chiefs just drafted Edwards-Helaire. That was the biggest surprise for me.
No, without a doubt. Me as well. And okay, so we've gone through all of the possibly fantasy relevant players that can actually score points for your team. The last thing that I do want to ask you before we end the episode is obviously a lot of offensive linemen went as well, which really does play into fantasy relevance at times. There's a few obviously that we could name off, but is there any one in particular that makes you more confident in an offensive player?
I mean, I guess you could start off with saying the Bucs got went and got a tackle for Brady, which is nice, but I was still decently confident in that offense anyway. But I do like the Browns going and getting themselves an offensive tackle. I like getting a tackle for Baker. I'm still in on that offense. I'm not. Most people have just kind of just written them off already. Everyone was on board with the Browns at the beginning of last year. Obviously, didn't quite work out. Everyone's now out, right, on the Browns, but yet they added Austin Hooper, and now they add to their offensive line with a top 10 pick. I'm on board with the whole Browns thing. I still am, and I think getting some help on the offensive line is only going to make this better, because now they got Baker. Still, I think he can be a good quarterback. You got Nick Chubb. You got a full season now of Kareem Hunt. You got Beckham. You got Landry. You got Hooper. This team is good. I think this team can be good, and they're actually going to fly under the radar a little bit, it seems like, because no one wants to pick, other than Nick Chubb, no one wants to pick these guys this year. Odell's not getting any love, obviously. Hooper's, he's decently ranked tight end because there's nobody at tight end. Baker, no one cares about Baker. I think that's a good pick, and I think it helps this offense, quite a bit.
Yeah, they're definitely my number one as well. And you named it. I mean, they are chock full of talent, and that's why it hurt so badly when they were bad last year. But I think that pick really helped buoy my belief that Baker could be a player. And I'll say it right now, he will be one of those guys that I target late. Even if I decide to go with another QB early, I will go and get him late because I think he has all the upside in the world, and he has all the talent around him now. And if he's not getting hit, if he gets back into playing football like he did his rookie year, man, he could be something good. I don't think 1 year should take away from him. The other one that I do want to mention, and it affects less people, I think, but the New York Giants with the number 4 overall pick took Andrew Thomas, which is a very good tackle from Georgia. I think that one should help grow your security in Saquon, number 1. Just in case you did have worries, like, everyone's going to say he might be the most talented back, but I worry about that team. That should help with that. I don't know if that necessarily makes him go up, but it should buoy the belief. And then the other one it does help with a little bit is maybe someone like Ingram, which I'm not completely sold on wide receivers yet, but I think someone like Ingram, if you have more time to get the ball out of your hands, it should help that entire receiving piece of the offense. So that is an interesting one. I don't know exactly where to say this is going to help the most, but that Browns one for sure, I think that helps Baker tremendously.
Yeah, actually, coming to think about that, they also signed Jack Conklin this year too. So.
They did. Huge.
That's
so
right.
both, and that's the only, okay, and I will say that was the only thing that kind of worried me when they said they were going to take Wills and move him to the other tackle. It always worries me when you say you're going to take a young guy and change his position immediately in the NFL. But you pretty much rewrote both ends, right? Conklin is a guaranteed guy. You know he can do the job. And then you got a very skilled tackle coming out of college that can be in the other side. And all of a sudden, you've pretty much reworked your entire offensive line, within a matter of a month. So big kudos to them.
Well, and then just the other thing, speaking of Conklin leaving, the Tennessee Titans weren't going to screw around and let that offensive line suffer. They went and drafted Isaiah Wilson there at the end of the first to replace Conklin. They're not going to let Henry have any, they're making sure he has a line to run behind. So that's still going to be their offense. That's their whole team. Run Derrick Henry, so they had to get another first-round lineman. So, but all right, that's probably it for the first round here. And, still a lot to come, though. I mean, I thought we were going to say at the end of this, all the running backs are yet to be drafted. That changed. But all the ones we thought, the big names, I mean, Edwards was like he was my fifth ranked running back, I believe. So Edwards-Helaire was. So yeah, you still got Taylor, you still got Swift, you still got Dobbins. That's going to be some interesting stuff to talk about. So next week's episode, we come back next week, we'll have a lot of running backs to talk about, I'm sure, and more receivers. There's going to be receivers all over the board in the second and third too.
Think about this as well, and I don't have I will pull it up right now, the second round, but if you're looking at that and you have three really high-end running backs left, I mean, who are you thinking that it could possibly go to? Because, I mean, do you really think – I mean, if Mixon is going to hold out, but I highly doubt the Bengals will take one. But, I mean, you hit Detroit, you hit Miami will have another shot at pick number 7 in the second round.
I feel like Miami might take one. Detroit's not out of the it depends on what they feel about Carry-On.
Well, he's always hurt. I feel like that would actually be a good place.
That's an interesting one.
You have Jacksonville if they're going to let Fournette go. I mean, there's a lot of what ifs, but Tampa Bay is sitting there at 13. Yeah. Yep. So I think you're about to see a lot of running backs go. So that second round will be chocked full of, I believe, more fantasy relevant players. So definitely tune in tomorrow.
Well, you still got some good receivers out there too. So, T. Higgins. Yeah. T. Higgins is there.
And you have the Patriots sitting there at, they traded down once again, like New England always does. God bless them. They're genius. But number 5 pick, they might be able to get they're going to get they could get a top running back. I don't know if they want one, but a top running back or a top wide receiver.
I feel like maybe they do get a quarterback. I feel like Jake Fromm feels like a Patriots quarterback to me. So
it kind of does actually, but
I don't know.
I don't know why. I don't see that happening, but maybe.
Probably not though. I just don't. It's the Patriots, and I don't feel like they're picking a second round quarterback. I just feel like they're waiting. There's somebody else they want, right? And okay, I'm just looking at best available players, and this just nothing to do with anything we're talking about. Why is Brian Lewerke ranked 2 spots out of Shea Patterson? Come on.
Because MSU, we turned them out, man.
Why is Brian Lewerke ranked as a best available quarterback at all? Come on.
I'll be honest.
Come on.
I'm not sure.
He's ranked as the 10th best available quarterback in the draft right now.
Yeah, well, you had Cousins, you had you had
yeah.
We did have a few actually in the NFL at one time, but
all right.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't draft him.
All right, that'll do it for today. Talk to you guys next week.